Hey parents, welcome back to Teenager Tuesday. We are in part 3, gleaning from Melanie Domen's wisdom. Again, if you haven't bought the book yet, you can go on Amazon and look for That Parenting Book by Melanie Domen, or melaniedomen.com, or thatparentingbook.com as well. And say somebody wants to get a hold of you of like, hey, we want to learn more, we want to reach out. Is your website the best place to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's right. Yes.
Sweet. There we go.
Yeah.
If you haven't yet listened to the first 2 parts of this, go back, listen to that, share those with whoever. Obviously, we make these for parents of our church here at Hope, but we have a bunch of listeners from a lot of different states, which is cool. So please, if anything is helpful for you or you think it would be helpful for someone else as well, please share the podcast with them. And today, Melanie, we're talking about coaching your children to the Olympics. Is that
Right.
so that we can retire early?
No, wrong guest, Will. Wrong guest.
No.
No.
No, we are talking about coaching, like the season of life.
Yes. Okay, so many times with our teenagers, it can feel like we are in the battle ring. They are, just developing and figuring out who they are and on their way to that vision of who they want to be as an adult. And many times as their parent, we are getting in the way of that, especially to all the moms of sons. These young men are doing everything in their power to grow into a man. And there is nobody in their world that makes them feel more like a child than the mom.
Really?
Right. Because we are their
It's
mom.
your little boy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so guess what? They're going to do everything in their power to try to kill us, to get out of the way. Even if they have to really hurt us with their words. If we are getting in the way of them becoming a man, then it's going to hurt. And so many times as moms, we have to step back and realize and not take things personally and realize, okay, he is on the way, he's on the path to becoming a man. How can I encourage that in him rather than getting in the way?
Oh, okay. Yeah, and how have you seen that kind of, have you seen that in an expression or practiced unintentionally? I think 99.9% of parents do everything with good intentions.
Right.
So how would you see that, maybe not well-intentioned, but not the best practiced?
Okay, so what are you saying? What does that look like with skin on?
Yes.
Okay, so with skin on, that looks like me saying to Brock, did you remember to pack your lunch? Because remember, you've got baseball practice and you're going to need to be well nourished for that baseball practice. And did you remember to bring your coat? And did you remember? And all this, and he'll say, Mom, I know,
Okay.
right? And I'm like, you don't have to be so disrespectful, right? And so, or he'll just, he will just push back whenever I can maybe overparent a little bit. To this day, as a 20-year-old, I can still sometimes give way too many reminders when he's home, and he has to kind of remind me, hey.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
Even if he doesn't have it, then the road to wisdom is paved with mistakes.
Yes, you've been listening.
I love that. That's a brilliant.
I did not come up
said.
with it. I wish I came up with it, but no, I read that somewhere, and it's just stuck with us.
Yeah.
It's actually become the theme of our whole family. Just, hey, even as parents, the road to wisdom is paved with mistakes. We're not going to always figure it out. We're going to get it wrong, and then we're going to learn from it, right?
Yeah.
So.
I heard Tim Elmore, who's a big Christian sociologist, I heard him one time say, we have to get better as parents allowing our kids to do dangerous things safely.
Yes.
Which is, again, a little bit along the same lines of don't overparent. It's okay if they make a mistake, because how are they going to learn if they just don't? If we're just like nagging them with well intentions.
Exactly.
It's like, I want you to eat, but maybe they need to forget their lunch to realize they need to eat. I don't know.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So when we feel like we are in the battle ring with our teenagers, okay, we can feel like they are fighting us on every single thing. Did you do your homework? Did you do this? Did you do, you've got to do this and this and this. And it's just, a bloody mess of just in the battle ring. What we need to do is we need to step back and think, okay, do I want to be my kid's opponent? Do I want to be the one who's in the battle ring with my kid? Or do I want to actually be the supportive coach on the sideline? Do I want to be the one who is back there that they come to and I'm wiping the blood off of their face and I'm giving them ice and I'm saying, you've got this, you can do this, realizing that their opponent is actually the enemy. It is, I am not the enemy. The enemy is actually truly, I feel, is Satan, who's here to steal, kill, and destroy.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a part of every single part of their life, from online to just the battles that they face, just getting up, and our young girls getting up and feeling like they're never enough and feeling like they're never going to be pretty enough and they're never going to be popular enough and all of those things. Do I want to really be in the battle ring with my young daughter, fighting her? Do I want to be on the sideline saying, you've got this, your mom is here, and I'm going to wipe your face and I'm going to give you encouragement and prayer, and I want to always be the one that you come to whenever you are heading out to face these battles that you face every single day?
Yeah. What would you say to the parent who says, like, yeah, they're in the game and in the battle, but I'm in it with them? And,
right.
And it's, again, well-intentioned with, like, I'm in the battle with them. Is that, like, what would you say to that parent then? Who would maybe, butt back, no, we're in it with them, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. I think that is a great point. And I also think what an incredibly loving heart to be like, no, I'm in the battle with them. But the reality is we need to not go out and really fight the battles for our kids.
Like, don't take away the struggle. Like
like we were talking about with lawnmower parenting last time. But instead, we need to be the one behind them, equipping them and giving them encouragement and saying, you've got this. Because when we send them out of our home in 18 years, they need to know how to fight these battles on their own. We can't always be right there fighting every single battle with them.
Yeah.
But we can always continue to be their coach. And then once they leave our home, be their advisor, right? And so how that looks with us in our home is I just ask a lot of questions. So whenever my kids, they are going through a struggle with a friend, maybe they got a bad grade on a test, something happened, the coach didn't put them into play or whatever, rather than going out and fighting that battle for them, I'm going to step back, I'm going to ask some questions. So they made that bad grade on the test. This is actually a true conversation I had with one of my daughters. They said, I failed that test. And instead of going, oh my, and doling out all the consequences or whatever, jumping into the battle ring, I said, oh man, that's a bummer. She said, yes, that teacher is so ridiculous. She feels like I have to understand Macbeth and I have no idea how to read Old English, and it's just dumb, and I can't believe it that she would even require that of us. And I said, okay, so did you actually read the book? And she said, yes, I've read the book. I said, okay. So again, I'm just only asking questions, Will, this whole time. And I'm using an incredible amount of empathy, right? I'm not going to be accusatory at all, right? It's like, oh, man, that's such a bummer. Yeah, Old English is really hard to read, right? I don't really love reading Old English either. Yeah,
we don't read the New King James Version of the Bible, right?
Yeah. Right. Some people must really love it, but I don't. So anyway, and I'm like, that is hard. All the these and thous, that's hard. That's hard to read. Yeah. So tell me, when are you actually reading this book? And she's like, well, before I go to bed at night. I'm like, okay. And again, I'm just going to turn everything into a question. So do you think is that working for you? Do you think that's a good time to read? Especially Old English, like right before bed. Yeah. And she's like, well, I fall asleep. I'm like, well, my guess is that's not a good time to read. So would there be a different time, right? So this whole time I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking all the questions to turn her brain on so that she's doing the thinking. Because the minute I switch into lecture mode, I'm doing all the thinking, and she
Yeah.
is thinking about, anything and everything other than the problem that she's going through right now.
Yeah.
So the minute I start asking questions, she turns her brain on. She's doing the thinking. So, we ended up having the consequence in our home is if you make below a certain grade, then I get your phone. Yes, even if you are a driving teenager, I get your phone. And we're going to make sure you know how to get to school. And once that grade gets up, then you can have that phone back.
Right.
But there's an incredible amount of empathy to go along with that.
Yeah.
Instead of just me turning into lecture mode.
Right.
So
It's probably incredibly important to watch our tone with the questions.
Yes.
So it doesn't sound like sarcasm.
Yes.
It sounds just inquisitive and trying to help them along the way versus like, oh, was that working out for you?
Oh, that's why empathy is so key. Like truly putting yourself in their shoes and saying, what is it like to be a teenager in today's world trying to read Old English?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. I have a question for you, but I want to save it for next week.
Okay.
So for now, parents, remember, you're not alone. You can do this. God is with you, and so are we. We'll see you next week.